Have you ever wondered how one man managed to convince thousands of people to invest in a scheme that was destined to fail? Today, we peel back the layers of history to uncover the tale of Charles Ponzi, the mastermind behind the infamous Ponzi scheme. This is a story of cunning, deceit, and a fraudulent scheme that cost investors millions of dollars. A story that is as fascinating as it is cautionary. This is the story of Charles Ponzi, a man who turned the American dream into a nightmare. Born in Italy in 1882, Charles Ponzi was a charismatic man with big dreams. His journey to America began in 1903, a young man of 21, filled with aspirations of wealth and success. He arrived with little more than $2 in his pocket, but a heart full of hope. Ponzi was not a man of patience. His hunger for success led him down a path of quick and easy money. He soon found himself involved in petty crimes, including forging checks, a foreshadowing of the fraudulent activities that would later define his legacy. Despite these early missteps, his charisma and charm were undeniable. He possessed the ability to make people believe in him, a trait that would serve him well in the years to come. In the early years of the 20th century, Ponzi hopped from job to job, always in search of the next big opportunity. He worked as a dishwasher, a waiter, and even tried his hand at mining. But none of these endeavors brought him the fortune he so desperately sought. He was a dreamer, always on the lookout for the next big thing. Ponzi's life was a series of ups and downs, of successes and failures. But through it all, his charisma and charm remained constant, drawing people towards him like a magnet. But it was in 1919 that Ponzi's life took a turn that would make him infamous. 1919, Charles Ponzi promised investors a 50% return on their investment in just 45 days. A promise that was too good to be true, yet irresistibly tempting, laid the foundation for what came to be known as the Ponzi scheme. Ponzi's idea was simple yet ingenious. He planned to exploit the differences in international reply coupons used for overseas postage. By buying them cheaply in one country and exchanging them at a higher rate in another, he promised to generate substantial profits. This was the pitch, but the reality was far different. The profits from the arbitrage of these coupons were meager and nowhere near enough to fulfill the promises made to the investors. So Ponzi devised a strategy that would become his legacy. He decided to use the money from new investors to pay off the old investors. This created an illusion of profits, and word quickly spread about Ponzi's miraculous investment opportunity. The scheme grew exponentially. Ponzi lived a life of luxury, purchasing a mansion in Lexington, Massachusetts, and basking in the public's admiration. His success story was so compelling that he was soon handling millions of dollars, with people mortgaging their homes and investing their life savings. But a crucial flaw underpinned this seemingly perfect system. It relied on a continuous influx of new investors. The moment the flow of new money slowed down, the scheme would collapse like a house of cards. Ponzi was essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul, a precarious balancing act that couldn't last forever. Yet, despite the inherent instability, the scheme thrived. Ponzi's charisma and the allure of quick wealth were so strong that even when a few skeptical voices tried to warn the public, they were drowned out by the clamor of those eager to invest. For a while, it seemed like Ponzi's scheme was unstoppable. His name was synonymous with wealth and success. But as we'll see in the next chapter, even the most clever of schemes cannot defy the laws of economics forever. But like all unsustainable schemes, Ponzi's was destined to collapse. The first crack in the facade appeared when Clarence Barron, the financial journalist and owner of the Boston Post, started to question the feasibility of Ponzi's operation. He scrutinized the scheme, questioning how Ponzi could deliver such high returns so quickly. Barron's investigation revealed that Ponzi would have to be buying and selling more international reply coupons than actually existed to sustain his business model. The Boston Post published these findings, sparking public doubt and skepticism. As the public's faith wavered, panic ensued. A run on the Securities Exchange Company began. Thousands of investors, driven by fear and uncertainty, lined up at Ponzi's office, demanding their money back. Ponzi, ever the charmer, reassured many and managed to stem the tide, but the damage was done. The public doubt had instigated a chain reaction that Ponzi couldn't stop. Federal and state investigations into his affairs were launched. The more the authorities dug, the more the scheme's rotten foundations were laid bare. Ponzi's operation was revealed to be a house of cards built on lies and deceit. He was not buying international reply coupons. He was not even investing the money. He was merely using the funds from new investors to pay off the old ones. The inevitable happened. The Securities Exchange Company was bankrupt, and Ponzi was arrested. He was charged with mail fraud for his deceptive correspondences with investors. Despite everything, Ponzi maintained his innocence, insisting that he had intended to repay his investors. But the evidence was overwhelming, and Ponzi was sentenced to prison. His high-flying life had come crashing down, the illusion of wealth and success shattered. His investors, many of whom had sunk their life savings into his scheme, were left with nothing. The man who had promised them fortune had instead delivered financial ruin. In the end, Charles Ponzi's scheme left thousands of people bankrupt and Ponzi himself in prison. The collapse of the Ponzi scheme serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of greed and the illusion of easy money. Charles Ponzi's name lives on, not as a symbol of success but as a cautionary tale. His legacy is a dark one, a name forever associated with one of the most notorious scams in financial history. His infamous scheme was so impactful that it inspired a term now widely recognized and used globally, the Ponzi scheme. This term is coined to describe fraudulent investment operations that promise high returns with little risk. The structure is simple, yet devastatingly effective. New investors provide the funds to pay earlier investors, creating a false sense of profitability. But when the flow of new investors slows down, the scheme collapses, leaving a trail of financial ruin. Charles Ponzi's story is not one of triumph but of manipulation and deceit. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of get-rich-quick schemes and the intoxicating allure of easy money. His tale serves as a powerful warning about the destructive power of charisma and deceit.